Welcome to WebRTC Live. In WebRTC Live, we cover the latest technical topics and business use cases for WebRTC and live video. As always, this episode is brought to you by WebRTC.Ventures, leading integrators of WebRTC video into your custom application.
Welcome to a special edition of WebRTC Live. I'm your host, Aaron Syme, founder and CEO at WebRTC.Ventures. We're a custom design and development agency focused on building live video applications. We're here to help you take your application live. And thank you for joining us live today on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. And welcome also to any of you watching a replay of today's conversation. For those of you with us live, you can ask questions throughout the stream by leaving a comment in whichever platform you're viewing this. This is not our normal December episode of WebRTC Live. That will be next week, and I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. For today, I just wanted to have a short conversation with Alberto Gonzalez, our CTO at WebRTC Ventures. Alberto's joining us live from the AWS reInvent conference in Las Vegas to share a few things he's learned so far. Thanks for joining me today, Alberto.
Thank you for having me, Aaron, and hi, everyone.
Well, thank you for taking a few minutes out of the busy schedule at reInvent. I know it's a very large conference. It's very overwhelming, but definitely always a fun time in my experience. They give out good sweatshirts, which I still wear a lot. So hopefully you got something good like that.
Yeah, pretty. They look like pretty good quality.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how's the conference so far, and what are like the three top things being talked about at reInvent?
Well, yeah, it might surprise you, but it's AI actually. So
Right.
They might change the name to AI Web Services. No, just kidding. Just aside. I think it's like where they are focusing on right now. Definitely a huge push on catching up with, obviously, OpenAI, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure that most of the announcements are about AI and a lot of the conversations. Tell us a little bit more about what are you learning and, maybe some of the announcements that you've heard.
Yeah, so there has been a lot around the AI chipsets they have. They call Trinium. There are also the models they are building also in-house called Nova. And also they have been presenting a lot of features around AI, particularly around their services called SageMaker, Bedrock, services that we are actually using already in some projects, but they are adding new features to that, guardrails. They are, for us, for example, one interesting feature was the latency optimized inference. So that's something obviously for us is important to be able to get that faster, because we had some challenges with real-time speech ups. So that was a really interesting update for us.
Yeah, definitely. Latency is really important in AI and our work for sure. A lot of people with their first thoughts around the use of an LLM or AI are things like, working with ChatGPT on writing up something, or, areas where latency is not a big deal. You're typing out a question. It's okay for a few seconds for the response to come back. But in the way that we're using AI and LLMs in our work at WebRTC Ventures, it's around things like real-time conversations by text and voice. And so latency is going to be really important to minimize in those situations, especially in a voice-based AI application. So that makes sense. I thought it was, it seems like from what I've read from a distance, I'm not at reInvent this year, obviously, but Amazon, AWS are really going after OpenAI, talking about their own foundation models. I believe that suite's called Nova, and having multimodal offerings within that around image and video generation, and I think also looking at a lot of other areas in the stack too. Even I think something about chip design, right? They're even going to compete with NVIDIA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they compete, but at the same time they continue to be partners. So they know obviously that today NVIDIA is the leader there. So obviously they don't want to get rid of the NVIDIA services, like the NVIDIA based instances they have. But yeah, um, they are at the same time competing with the chipsets that they are building. So yeah.
There's a lot of friendly competition between the big tech companies, I suppose. They have to stay open to integrating and working with each other, while at the same time they're each trying to make themselves as ubiquitous as possible. And certainly the dominance of AWS as a cloud provider and all of the different services that you can use within the AWS ecosystem is certainly compelling. It's what we use on the majority of our work, to be sure. What are some of the biggest announcements you've seen so far, more specifically related to our work on video and communication side?
Yeah, so on the communication side, obviously there are indirect announcements, as I was mentioning, the bedrock improvements, things related to AI into the communication space. So, for example, Connect adding AI features within their, services. So things that allow, for example, to categorize users using your data, using your transcriptions, is kind of more straightforward now.
Excellent.
So yeah, things using basically your data, your call center data, for things like detecting also issues with agents, so evaluating as well agents, maybe with LLMs, and that's part of the Amazon Connect. Non AI related, also there were some news about making the Amazon Connect more like omni-channel, so actually bringing more services to it, like WhatsApp, for example. So now you can integrate with WhatsApp, and there are also additional controls related to their tool that we use actually every day in some projects.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so that's all around Amazon Connect, the AWS cloud-based contact center solution, which we've used and based our work with a product called Connectara on that as well. Yeah, and something I saw around Amazon Connect is allowing transfers now without the use of the telephony network at all. So good for like moving calls between contact centers without going over the traditional telephony network, and also allows for a more gradual transition for contact centers moving to the cloud, because they could use Connect for like IVR, like the front end of a contact center, but still be able to leave agents on traditional telephony networks that may be set up, and so allows for a little more of a hybrid or maybe gradual migration there, as I understood it. So yeah, there's always while AI is always is definitely in recent years, and this year I'm sure even more, so the focus of a lot of the announcement, there's always a lot of different things being announced at reInvent, and lots of platforms to keep up with. Any other more general AWS announcements that caught your attention?
Yeah, there were some actually. It was hard to find them, but there were. It was funny just checking out the list of talks through their app. Basically, I just checked yesterday, and out of 2018 were AI related. So it's the volume. It's huge. But there are some interesting non-AI related as well, around the databases. So that there is a new interesting service that was released, I think, a couple of years ago, but now it's multi-region, which is called MemoryDB. It's some kind of low latency in-memory database that, for our use case, also is very interesting.
Yeah.
So that's great news that now it's multi-region, so we can treat it as more like a production ready, I would say, tool, not like before. So that was one that caught my eye. Also, there was a friend of mine actually was part of a new feature for EKS. So for those that doesn't know, it's like the management of of services through Kubernetes, but using AWS services. So it kind of simplifies a lot the the work that you need to do to manage nodes and manage infrastructure. So
Nice.
the new feature they added now is to be able to have hybrid EKS nodes, basically. So it means you can have your Kubernetes infrastructure on-premise, but you can still leverage AWS EKS management and also how to scale to them. So basically, if you reach a point where your infrastructure can handle that, then starts your service starts using AWS as a backup, let's say. So I think
Nice.
that there were a lot of, I would say, less flashy upgrades and features that they presented around also observability and security. But yeah, I think these two were quite interesting for us.
Yeah. Maybe it doesn't use quite as glamorous buzzwords in it, but I'd say for us, anything that helps with like management of Kubernetes and scaling is still a really important eye-catching update for sure. So, yeah, and as we talk about like AI in AWS announcements, a lot of it is kind of like customer facing in the sense of, using AI, say, to improve contact center interactions or customer experience, things like that. But of course, AI is also about improving developer efficiency and kind of the way we write code. And Amazon's making announcements around that as well. A couple that just caught my attention of updates to their Q Developer Coding Assistant, which is their competitor to the GitHub Copilot. And then also QuickSight, data business intelligence tool that's also integrating with their Q business AI. And so sounds like it, from what I read there, some additional ways to do like retrieval augmented generation, bring in your own private data sets into that business AI and use that in your application. So those are ways that you can help both developers as well as help developers to integrate data into the broader AI applications in your system. So lots going on.
Yeah, no, I think they presented like these three layers, I would say. So there's the Amazon Q is kind of the highest layer. So it's for people like you really don't need to know anything about AI. Like just you upload your file. I would say anything about tech. You can use Amazon Q. It's more like enterprise focused and like for people of like the HR department to be able to even use it.
Right.
And also the part for developers, but there's this Amazon Q is basically for other type of services as well. Like you could use it as a chatbot for HR. That's the idea they are envisioning, and I think that's interesting. And how actually this can be also integrated with Amazon Connect is something that we could explore as well. Like we have been working with lower level Bedrock. But Q could make things a bit faster for us for tests, for example. And you just need to upload your files and kind of they handle everything for you. Then Bedrock is a little bit lower level where you have a little bit of customization, and then SageMaker you can fully deploy your own models, fine tune them, and all that. So I think they have these three layers for different type of people. I think in our case, we will probably be within the Bedrock range,
right.
but I think there might be cases where we go a bit lower or a bit higher.
Yeah, exactly. Or integrating things into those higher levels so that others in the enterprise can access that as well. So nice. Well, that's great. I'm sure that after you've gotten back from the conference and had a little bit of time to recover, we'll have a blog post up on WebRTC Ventures and provide some more links to some of those announcements and those things. But I don't want to neglect the expo hall, because while the sessions are always great at conferences like this, a lot of times you get just as much value just by walking around the expo hall. It's not just about the free pens and whatever toys they're giving away at the booths, but
3D
you know, a lot of
printers.
oh yeah, and yeah, seeing what but getting to meet those vendors as well. So sounds like you saw some cool 3D printers. What else have you seen in the expo hall?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting to walk through there. There are very different kind of topics and companies out there, different sizes. Obviously, was NVIDIA there, presenting demos around their SDKs and how you can train robots virtually and then be able to use that training into a physical hardware robot, kind of how all these companies are building like the driverless cars and stuff like that, from something a little bit more I would say basic or more down to earth, like observability tools that allow you to just visualize your logs more effectively. um, Personally, I talk with some guys at Hugging Face that actually mentioned how closely they're integrating um, with AWS, and I think that that's quite interesting because basically, for those that doesn't know, Hugging Face is basically the GitHub of I would say. So it's just basically where all the models are stored and evaluated. So um, the the capabilities of being able to just click a button in AWS and say, spin up this specific model for text detection on images, and have your server there up and running with your API. It's pretty powerful, especially if you don't need to search that model or pick. It's just like out there in Hugging Face. So that I think was an interesting talk I had with some guys there, as well as the guys in Pinecone, which are the ones focusing on database embeddings, and how right now they are only like I would say as a service. So you can have Pinecone databases hosted on premise, for example. But yeah, that's potentially something they're exploring. But yeah, I don't know how when we will see that. So yeah, those related to AI, and as well the guys from AI 21 Labs. Those are also working on models, so they are in some way competing with AWS and OpenAI. But I think they found an interesting niche, which is large language models for huge volumes of text. So for RAG, for example, when you are uploading, let's say, a 100-page PDF, using LLMs is not effective. So they are offering some AI models there that I would definitely like to try when I'm back.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that sounds great, Alberto. I don't want to keep you from your last few hours at the conference and in the expo hall there, but thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your schedule. I hope you've had a chance to not only enjoy the conference, but maybe a little bit of Vegas as well. And we'll look forward to hearing more from you when you come back. So thanks again for joining me today, Alberto.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it has been great, and it will be going directly to some sessions I'm looking forward to go.
Perfect. All right. Well, don't miss out on it then. Thanks for joining us, Alberto. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
All right. Well, as I mentioned, this was just a quick special episode of WebRTC Live so we could get Alberto's thoughts live from AWS reInvent. Next week will be our normal episode of WebRTC Live, and we're going to have a jam-packed panel of experts from our team at WebRTC.Ventures. So you don't want to miss it. That next episode will be next Wednesday, December 11th at 12:30 Eastern US time. Our Chief Operating Officer, Mariana Lopez, will host a panel discussion about how the WebRTC landscape has changed. And experts from our team will be discussing different topics, including AI and real-time communications, video publishing and production, advanced telephony integration, communications integrations in low bandwidth settings. And at the end, as usual, Sahi will join us for our monthly industry segment to talk about Gen AI and WebRTC. So you don't want to miss that either. To find out more about our upcoming episodes, or to see a replay of this conversation, follow us on social media at WebRTC Ventures on Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, and join our email list at WebRTC.ventures. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Let's make it live.
Thanks for joining us for WebRTC Live. Visit our website at WebRTC.ventures to learn more about our custom design and development services, and to learn more about upcoming episodes of WebRTC Live.